I have a master's of human kinetics from the University of Ottawa, and I'm a CSEP CEP. And I've been working with CAPL for a number of years now. So I think I have some experience to bring to you, and hopefully that'll come across in the presentation. So today is, as Brett mentioned, the third webinar in our series, and it's actually going to focus on the Canadian Agility and Movement Skill Assessment, or CAMSA. So that is, I'm going to actually call that the obstacle course sometimes, because we're just in the midst of a name change. So if you hear obstacle course or CAMSA, it's the same thing, so I apologize for going back and forth. I'm just trying to learn the new acronym. So thanks so much for joining us. Let's get started.
Before we continue, I just want to make mention, if you guys have any questions throughout the presentation, feel free to type them either in the chat feature in the navigation bar, or even better, there's a questions feature. So if you have a question, just type it in there, and then we will answer them at the end. Stacy and I will both have access to the questions, so we'll be able to read them and answer them for you. You'll all be on mute throughout the whole presentation, just for the sake of noises, or if someone's working and typing away, et cetera, et cetera. So yeah, feel free to type the questions, and then we'll answer them to the whole group at the end.
Awesome. And Brett, sorry, can you start the recording too? That'd be great.
I did.
You did. Perfect. Awesome. Just want to make sure. Okay.
Thanks.
So yeah, no problem. So without further ado, let's get started. So again, I'm from HALO, so that stands for the Healthy Active Living and Obesity Research Group, and we work out of the CHIO Research Institute up here in Ottawa. We do a lot of research in regards to children's physical activity. We also touch upon other aspects of that kind of research. So we do maternal health, nutrition, behavioral research, you name it, we probably talk about it. So if you'd like to learn more about any of our research, you can check out our website and also our Twitter handle, where we're going to just tweet about various projects that we're working on, publications that's coming out, and also the webinar series, so you guys can learn more there. So we'll just get right into it in here, and we'll just go over the agenda. So today I'm just going to talk to you guys, do a little bit of a review on the CAPL domains, so for those who missed the first few webinars. And then I'll talk about the equipment you'll need for the CAMSA, the obstacle course, how to prepare the obstacle course, and then also the instructions for the participant, and then how to score CAMSA. So we'll get right into it. This is usually a webinar or a workshop that I would do in person, so hopefully the images and the media that I have for you today will show you kind of how the obstacle course runs. But if you're interested in having us come and do an in-person practical workshop, let me know, and we can definitely set that up. But yeah, hopefully you'll be able to see how it runs and it all makes sense. So we're going to talk about CAMSA in relation to the physical literacy definition. So the definition of physical literacy is the motivation, confidence, physical competence, knowledge, and understanding to value and take responsibility for the engagement in physical activities for life. And this is the definition that all of Canada is now using from the Physical Literacy Consensus Statement put out by Participation this past year. So we're actually going to just look at one aspect of that definition with CAMSA, so that's physical competence. So physical competence is a child's ability to engage in physical activities. So the CAPL, so the Canadian Assessment of Physical Literacy, incorporates measures of physical competence and motor performance to assess physical competence. So if you guys remember from last time, if you joined us, we talked about the other aspects of physical competence. So that would be the obstacle course as well, which we're going to go into today. That's also body composition, the plank, sit and reach, grip strength, and those kinds of assessments. But today we're just going to focus on motor performance to assess physical competence. So again, motor performance is assessed using CAMSA in the CAPL protocol. So just to kind of go over the CAPL domains with you, each part of the definition relates to a CAPL domain. So you'll notice that on your screen, the different parts of the definition are highlighted using the different colors of our domains. So motivation and confidence, they're in orange, physical competence in purple, knowledge and understanding in teal, and then physical activities for life or daily behavior in gray. So again, CAMSA is going to come into the physical competence domain and looking at the motor performance of children ages 8 to 12, which is the age group for CAPEL. And if you're just joining us and you haven't joined us before, we did talk about how CAPEL is valid and reliable for children 8 to 12 years of age. So if you want to learn more about that, you can check out our previous webinars, or you can check out our methods paper, which is available online. If you just type in the Canadian Assessment of Physical Literacy, it should pop up there. Okay, so CAMSA, or the Canadian Agility of Movement Skill Assessment, aka the obstacle course. So current assessments of motor skill require children to perform each skill in isolation. So CAMSA kind of sets itself apart from these different test batteries. So the examples I have there, these are going to, again, look at each skill in isolation and not in a complex movement or a dynamic movement. CAMSA, though, is going to look at movement skills in a dynamic environment. So what does that mean? Essentially, it's going to incorporate fundamental, complex, and combined movement skills. So just to give you guys an idea of what those skills would be, fundamental would be jumping, sliding, catching, throwing, skipping, hopping, and kicking. So those are our fundamentals, whereas the complex are going to be more hand-eye coordination, control of acceleration, deceleration, rhythmic movement, inter-limb coordination, and then the combined are going to be things like balance, core stability, coordination, equilibrium, and precision. So while CAMSA has all of the fundamental skills within it, it actually incorporates that in a dynamic environment where the kids actually have to perform the skills while moving and while going through various parts of the obstacle course or CAMSA, and they have to use all of those other skills that are mentioned in the complex and combined categories as well. So a little bit more complex than a regular skill assessment would be, just because it is a moving environment. So that's why we wanted to have a third webinar for you, just to kind of isolate CAMSA, because it is a little bit more difficult to score than the average protocol in CAPEL. So hopefully this webinar will give you guys a better understanding of how to do that, what it looks like, and you can feel comfortable actually using the CAMSA in your own organizations and environments. So CAMSA, what happens here is children complete the CAMSA as fast as they can using their best skills. So we're actually going to show you with this webinar how we set up the equipment and then how the kids actually go through this course. But this is one particular statement that we reiterate to the children every time we do testing. A lot of the times, as you can imagine, children get very competitive and they want to go as fast as they can. But the way CAMSA works is, while we want to see kids go as quickly as they possibly can through the course, we also want them to use their best skills because we are scoring them based on their motor skill ability. So what we do is a combined score, which we'll talk about a little bit at the end. So, you know, if you go really fast through this course, but you're not using the best motor skills, your score is actually going to be lower, as if, and same thing as if you went really slow but used very good skills. So it's a combination of the two, and that'll kind of come across as we see what the CAMSA is. Also really important to note, children complete 2 practice trials and 2 timed and scored trials. So the idea behind the practice trials is to make sure that the children are actually performing the skills and not just trying to remember what skills they need to perform. So we'll actually cue these as well. So we'll make sure that, and we'll go through how to do that. The kids know what skill is coming next, so they don't have to go by memory. And then by the third trial, which is the timed and scored trial, they should have an awareness of what they need to do. We still give them cues as they go through, but it's less about memory and more about the actual skill performance with this. And this was actually created from the Delphi group, the expert panel that we brought together to establish our validity. So again, that is talked about in our previous webinar and our methods paper as well. So yeah, well, how about we just go in and we'll see what the obstacle course or CAMSA looks like. Before we do that though, the equipment you need for CAMSA, So on your screen you'll see the diagram that kind of lays out what the campsite would look like. What you'll need about 15 meters in length and then 5 meters in width, so wide open space. Usually we use an elementary school gym for this purpose. This is probably one of the biggest protocols you'll have in Capel, apart from the pacer or the shuttle run. Usually you would have it set up in station with the other protocols as well, but again, this is going to be one of the largest. So you'll also need gym floor tape, so to tape down all of your markings. So usually we will tape down where the cones would be, and that way if the cones are hit for any reason while the kids are going through the course, then we can place the cones where they need to be and not remeasure anything. You'll also need 6 hula hoops, so really important to make sure that they're 63 centimeters wide. I've tried this with groups who have, let's say, only access to larger hoops, and it's really difficult to actually jump through those hoops, so making sure you have a good standard size there. We also need 6 cones, 1 soccer ball, 1 squelette ball or softball. So essentially just a ball that won't bounce because they're going to be throwing the ball from the throwing line and hitting a target, and it's always easier to get a ball that just kind of drops as opposed to ones that bounce around. So just something to think about there. And then 1 cardboard wall target. So this can be a Bristol board piece, or you can actually, if you don't have access to that, just tape something that's 24 inches wide and 18 inches high on the wall. So either one works. It's a lot easier if you have a Bristol board just because you don't have to spend the time measuring out the tape, but if you are kind of stuck, you can also do the floor tape option. So now we're going to show you kind of how to set up the campsite, and then we'll actually see what it looks like. So step 1, you're going to need a few assessors to kind of help with this. I've tried to do it by myself, and while it can be done, it takes a little bit longer because you'll need a measuring tape and someone placing the tape as well. So in the picture here, you'll have we have 3 assessors. You can definitely just do it with 2, but the more you have, the easier it is to set up and the quicker it'll be set up. So step 1, you're going to mount the target on the wall 1.5 meters above the floor. So going from the bottom all the way to the top, and the top of the Bristol board is going to be that 1.5 mark. Step 2, you're going to measure 1 meter to the left and the right of the target center, and then mark these positions on the floor. So we just kind of eyeball the center of the target usually. So all in all, you're measuring out 2 meters, 1 on the left, 1 on the right, and you're just placing that floor tape on the floor there. Some people get confused in whether we need to put it on the wall, but this is for our cones later. You can see there position cone number 5 and number 6 on top of these marks. So this is going to act as our goal for when the kids were kicking their soccer ball. And I don't know if you guys can see just here with where my cursor is. We kind of put little arrows on our cones just to make sure the kids know where they need to kick the ball. But you don't necessarily have to do that. It's just easier for the kids to know. So that's step 2. Step 3, you're actually going to measure perpendicularly to the target wall a distance of 5 meters starting from cone 6. So you can see our friend Claire here. She has the measuring tape starting at the cone, and then we measure 5 meters all the way to the number 2 position here. And then we're going to place a piece of floor tape, and then we're going to place cone number 2 on this mark. And remember, the floor tape acts as a place marker, so you don't have to do any measurement afterwards. So that's easier that way. All right, so step 4, you're going to, actually, this is funny because usually step 4 I do at the very end. Maybe that's why I often forget about it. So we'll put it in step 4. But basically, you're going to mark the throwing line here. So starting at where you placed cone 2, and actually, I just found out there's a cool drawing tool, so I'm going to try to use that. So this is where cone 2 is here, and you're just going to measure 2 meters with your floor tape. Really important to have 2 people for this one. Floor tape is kind of tricky sometimes, so if you measure out with 2 people, it's a lot easier to place down. and that's where you're going to have. Usually the tape floor, the floor tape should mark the distance between cones 5 and 6. So you remember this is cone 5, and then cone 6 would be over here. So that can be your marker. All right, so we'll move on to step 5. So from here, you're going to start at cone number 2 again, and then continue to measure perpendicularly to the wall target for additional 3 meters. So if you remember, you did 5 meters from cone 5, and then you're going to measure from cone 2, 3 meters. So all in all, 8 meters there. So if you wanted to do 8 meters and just mark 5 and 3, you can also do that. And then what you're going to do is once you've measured out that 3-meter distance, you're going to put another piece of floor tape and then put cone number 1 on this mark. And again, I do apologize if this seems a little bit like too much information. Usually what I would do is do a practical workshop with this. It's a lot easier to see firsthand, but all of the information that I'm going over right now is available on our Capable manual. So if you want to try yourself, everything's available online for free, so you can check it out and try it as well. And it'll actually make a lot more sense once you kind of see everything laid out firsthand. But we'll continue, and hopefully you guys are following along. If not, feel free to ask any questions, and I address them at the end. All right, step 6. So from cone number 1, you're going to measure an additional 1 meter. So this is going to continue from the perpendicular line. So actually, I'll just draw that out for you. So you're going to do this perpendicular line here. So this is cone number 5, 2, and 1. And then you're going to do 1 meter right here from cone number 1. And you're going to mark this spot on the floor there. And what we're going to do with that is that's actually going to turn into where we place our hoops. So step number 7, you're going to line the edge of, well, you don't necessarily have to have a blue hula hoop. We say that because that's what we use in our manual. But essentially, it's really good to have the same color, like 2 of the same colored hoops. So for example, here we have 2 red, 2 green, and 2 yellow. But basically, we're going to line up the hula hoops in line with cone 1 and cone 2 and cone 6. So as you can see, this green line here, ensuring that the front of the hula hoop is level with the marker. So drawing an imaginary perpendicular line running parallel with the wall target. So with that, we move on to step 8. So really important for safety reasons is to tape down the hula hoops. So again, you would place them in rows of 2 and then securely fasten them to the floor. So usually we'll go and put pieces of tape here, 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 and here. And then it's really important to have these ones additionally as well, just to keep them down. We've had it where you know, we don't use as much floor tape, and it's amazing how just a little bit of, if the hula hoop is up a little bit, the kids will actually catch it. So really important that that each hula hoop is tied down properly with the floor tape. So just keeping that in mind. Okay, so now we'll move on to step number 9. So you're going to, once you've laid the hula hoops down, you're going to measure 1 meter from the center of the left hula hoop at the very end, so right where Claire is standing or sitting right here. So 1 meter to the left, and that'll be parallel to the target wall. Then you're going to mark this spot with your floor tape and then place cone number 4 on this mark. So you've kind of laid out most of the cones here. We're almost done setting up the obstacle course. We have just one more little setup to do here. So step 10, from cone number 4, you're going to measure 5 meters back towards the target wall. And you're going to mark this position and place cone number 3 on the mark. So we have Claire standing where cone number 4 is. You can see she's lifted that up there, and we've done 5 meters all the way to where Charles is, and we're going to place cone number 3 there. And with that, you have now set up the obstacle course, or CAMSA. I'll just give you guys a little minute to digest that, and I will show you, you know, what the whole obstacle course looks like, so it'll kind of make sense once that happens. So just really important when you're actually doing the protocol of the obstacle course, you'll actually need 2 appraisers here. Appraiser number 1, which is Priscilla here on the left, she is going to stand the opposite end of the throwing line from cone 2. So if you remember our throwing line right here, she's going to stand right here, or even you can get closer to the line as well. She's going to time the trial and then also provide the instructional cues, which we're going to go through in just a minute. And then she's going to throw the squelette ball when she needs to, and also place the soccer ball for the child when they get to that point of the obstacle course. And then appraiser number 2, they're actually going to stand at the far end of the course on the opposite side. So if you look here on your right where Charles is and this arrow here, this way if you stand here, you're actually going to see everything a little bit better and be out of the way of Priscilla as well when she's throwing and kicking the soccer ball. So this person is going to score the trial, so they're going to need a clipboard and the scoring sheet, and they'll have to actually kind of look and make sure that the kids are actually performing the skills, and they'll actually then get the time from the person who's timing. So in this case, when the course would finish, Priscilla would then stop the time. She'd walk over to Charles over here and just provide that time to him, and he would be able to produce the scoring and time trial score at the end. So no calculations really with that. You kind of just add up the score, and then you write down the time in a column. So I'll show you what that looks like in a little bit. But yeah, really important to have 2 appraisers for this one. Unfortunately, a lot of our other protocols, you only need 1, but for this one, you'll need 2. Okay, so before you begin the CAMSA, one appraiser, really important, it has to demonstrate the CAMSA twice. So the reason for this, so we do 2 demonstrations, one slow and one at full speed. So the one that is a little slower, this is a demonstration to show the kids what they actually need to do. So kind of breaking down the skills a little bit more, and that way they can see what the skills are. And then the full speed version, and now this is full speed for the appraiser, not a full speed of the child. So basically the appraiser has to go as fast as they can using their best skills as well. And this demonstrates the effort and motivation that is required to perform CAMSA. So the idea behind this is if you as an appraiser are just going through it very slowly, the kids will think, okay, I also just will go slowly. But we actually, again, want them to perform the CAMSA as quick as they can using their best skills. So that's why we have those 2 versions. It's also pretty fun being the appraiser and trying to see how fast you can go through it. So just as a little aside there. Okay, so CAMSA. You guys are probably, for those who haven't seen it, probably wondering what it looks like. So without further ado, we will show you. So I have a little quick video for you here. This is just a snippet from our online video. If I'm going through this a little too quick for you, you can get all of this information online either through our manual or our training videos. So we have about a 10-minute obstacle course or CAMSA training video that you can go through. So I've just taken a little snippet from it just so you guys can see what it looks like. So we have Charles, who's going to be our participant and kind of showing you guys what to do. So I'm going to press play, and I'll just, as I go through it, I'll tell you what he's doing, and I'll play it a second time. That way you guys can have a better idea of what it looks like. Okay, so he's going to start behind the hoop there, and he's going to do 2-foot jumps. Then he's going to slide, touch the cone, slide, touch the cone, catch the ball, throw it up to the line, throw at the target, hit the target, around the cone, skipping, and then 1 foot hops through the hoops, and then run up and kick the ball. Okay, so I'll just, how about we go and do that one more time because it was a little quick. And again, I'll do the cueing there of what it looks like. Oop. All right, here we go. So he's going to start behind the yellow hoop here. Really important to start behind this second one on the screen. And when the appraiser number 2, who's timing, says go, he's going to actually do the 2-foot jumps through the 3 hoops, just like this. So 2-foot jumps and slide, touching the cone, slide, touch the cone, catching the ball. So that would be appraiser 2 throwing the ball to him, and then throwing the ball to target, hitting the target, skipping from cone to cone. 1 foot hops through each of the hoops just in this pattern here, and then he'll run up and kick the ball where Priscilla has placed it for him. So again, that's what CAMSA would look like. This is a slower demonstration that Charles has just done, just to show you the skills. So now what we'll do is kind of go through each of the cues that you'll have to provide, very similar to what I did if you were the appraiser for a child going through CAMSA. So these are going to be probably a lot of information at once for you, but as you practice CAMSA and you see it happening in front of you, it actually makes a lot more sense. And it's kind of second nature. Like the cues will just come to you, and I probably know them in my sleep now. So again, you're going to get the participant to stand behind this yellow hoop here, and the script is when you are ready to go, I will say ready, set, go. So I usually say on your marks, get set, go, whatever kind of script you want to use, just making sure the child is ready and prepared to go. And then from there, they're going to complete 3 2-foot jumps. So the script there would be when I say go, you jump on both feet together through the hoops. So just like this participant is doing here. So going from the blue to the yellow to the green, and then out again. And then from there, they're going to do a little bit of a run to cone 1. So this is cone 1 here where my cursor is. And then they're going to turn sideways to face the appraiser at that cone. So if you look on your left, again with my cursor, so 2-foot jumps, and then they're going to do a little bit of a run here, and then they'll slide. So that you wouldn't have to necessarily say all of these scripts here. I kind of shorten it to 2-foot jumps, slide, those kinds of things. It's easier to say. Obviously, you can't say jump on both feet through the hoops. Each trial, this would be more so for the practice trials that the kids do, which are a little bit more laid back and as a chance for the kids to actually just try out the obstacle course itself. So we'll move on then. So from here, they're going to then start sliding sideways, cone number 2, and then touch the cone, and then go in the reverse direction, remaining facing the appraiser. So some kids might turn around, but we want them facing the same direction. That way they're sliding in the opposite direction. They just were sliding in. And then they go back to cone number 1 and touch that cone. So the script would be, the next part is sliding sideways. You should be facing this side so that you can see the appraiser. Slide sideways and touch the green cone, then slide back, still facing the same way, and touch the other green cone. So in this case, we have 2 red cones. Essentially, like I guess a tip for you would be to have the same cone color for these 2 cones, and then also the same color for the other cones here. If you want to just look on your left side of your screen, it's a little bit easier to see. So here we have 2 green cones, and then we have 2 red cones right here. A lot easier to say the colors of the cones if they're the same. So after sliding, they would then get ready to catch the ball. So they're going to start to run towards the throwing line and then catch the ball as it's thrown by the appraiser. So you can see in the pictures here. And then they're going to throw at the target once they've reached that line, and then they're going to also hit the target. So the script for you would be, after you finish sliding, I will throw the ball to you, catch it, and run up to the line, and then throw it at a target before you cross the line. So again, this is all happening very quickly. I would never say all of those words, so it would be Slide, slide, touch the cone, catch the ball, run up and throw, and then going from there. But whatever works for you, I think I've heard a few other cues being used as well. We also have these in the manual if you forget. And as I mentioned, the more you practice it, the easier it'll become. Okay, so after that, what they're going to do is they're going to actually go around this cone here, so the orange cone on in the picture. Once they've thrown the ball, they go around the cone, and then they're going to start skipping from, in this diagram, the red cone, and then in the picture, the purple cone. So running across the line and around the cone number 2 and reach the outside of cone number 3. So skipping from cone number 3 to cone number 4 before running around cone number 4 and going back to the hoops. So the script for you would be after you throw, you go around the green cone. So I'll just kind of show you with actually I can, there we go. So you'll go around the green cone and run to the outside of the red cone, and then you're going to skip from red to red. Do your best athletic skipping, skip around the red cone, and then come back through the hoops. So they're essentially just doing a little bit of a circle there. Sometimes the kids will miss this green cone and just go straight for the red. This is okay in relation to our scoring, but it's just easier for the kids to remember to go around the cone, and that way they start skipping from this red cone to this red cone. Okay, so next, once they've gone through and skipped through to those cones, they're going to make sure they go around that cone and then come through the hula hoops and begin a 1-foot hopping in each hula hoop. So it doesn't really matter which foot they use here. We just want them to go hopping on 1 foot through all 6 hoops. So the script for you would be, this time you have to land in all of the hoops by hopping on 1 foot. You can do the hoops in any order, but you have to land on the same foot in each hoop. So again, the cue for this kind of portion would be, so starting from skipping, you'd be skip, 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 around the cone, and hop, hopping on 1 foot. So whatever works for you in those cueings there. I've had a couple questions from previous workshops. Does it matter the pattern? Usually we start with going through the first cone on your, the first hula hoop on your left, then going to the right hula hoop, and then going up like, so if you just kind of see my cursor, I'll just kind of show you what that looks like. So they'd start here, then go here, and then up and over, up and over. That kind of makes the most sense when it comes to going through the course. I've had people say, well, can you go straight through and then back? But I mean, for efficiency purposes, that's the best pattern to do. So that's the best way to show the kids as well. Oh, and I'll get rid of that drawing there for you guys. Okay, so after landing in each hoop, they're going to then run and kick the soccer ball at the line. So that's going to be placed by our second appraiser, and that's the same throwing line as well. So the script for you, after you land on 1 foot in the last hoop, just run to the soccer ball and kick it between the 2 yellow cones. Really important, you don't need to aim the ball at the target on the wall. You just need to do that for throwing. Once you kick the ball, you are done. So you're kicking the ball on the ground is fine, just between those 2 cones. A lot of kids want to hit that target because it's oh so tempting to do so, but they actually don't need to do that. So yes, that's kind of the instructions you would say to the participants before they actually start the course. So these would be in the demo portion. Okay, so just as a reminder, all of what I mentioned is available in our training videos. So our training videos are available online at this link here, and it'll go through the equipment you need, how to set up the CAMSA or the obstacle course, and then also the scoring, and then go a little bit more detailed on that as well. So it's really beneficial to kind of watch that a few times, so that way you'll feel more comfortable with the CAMSA. All right, so this is the probably the trickiest part is scoring the CAMSA. So what I'm going to do is kind of break down each of the skills in isolation. That way you kind of know what the scoring system would look like. So this is the score sheet you'll have. Essentially here you'll have you'll have all the participants numbered with their IDs, so just at the top here. And each column is for each one trial of the CAMSA. So let's say you're going to do, I can even write this out. You can do participant number 12, that you would go through their course. And what you'll do here is for each skill, you're going to have 1 point awarded for each skill performance. So it's going to be out of 14. But what we do is if the criterion isn't met, you're going to put an X. So let's say a child is going through and they are able to do the 2-foot jump properly. So I'll show you kind of, again, what these skills look like in isolation, but just to give you guys an idea. So they're able to do that no problem. They have 2 feet in each of the hoops. There's no extra jumps. You could put a check mark like this, but it's very time consuming to do that when you're watching all of the kids go through. So what we recommend is actually just leaving that blank if they've completed it, and then you're going to put an X if they haven't completed it. So if we go on to sliding, let's say they go through and their body and feet are not aligned sideways when sliding. So you're actually just going to put an X in that column there. But again, they go through and they actually slide in the opposite direction, okay? So you would leave that blank. And again, they touch the cone with the low center of gravity athletic position, you'll leave that blank. So what you'll actually have, I'll just erase it here for us. So again, if you're going to do participant 12, you just have a bunch of X's where they would not perform the skill properly, just like this. And then you would then count up the score out of 14. So if they miss 3, it would be 11. So you just put the total there, and then the time would be brought to you by your second appraiser. So maybe it would be, let's say, 15.1 seconds. And that's what your one trial would look like. And then you would move on to the next column to do the second trial with the next participant. That's the best way that we've kind of seen it work. But again, if you want to put the check marks, it works for you, then by all means. But again, just a little bit more time consuming to go through. So now that you kind of have an idea of what the score sheet looks like, I'm going to go through each of these different criteria with you in isolation. So the 2-foot jumping, the sliding, the catching, the throwing, skipping, 1-foot hopping, and kicking. Just so you guys can see what that looks like. All right, so for 2-foot jumping, if you remember from this screen here, I'll just go through each one of the criteria. So 2-foot jumping, there's 3 2-foot jumps in and out of the yellow, purple, blue hoops, and they have to take off and land on both feet at the same time. So we'll just see what that looks like. There we go. So he was able to go through and land on both feet in each of the hoops. He kind of had 1 foot jump out of the hoop before the other one when he went through, but that's what it would look like. So if they are able to do that skill, you would leave it blank on your score sheet. The second one you're looking for, so no extra jumps and no touching of hoops. So only 1 jump in each hoop. So sometimes kids might need those extra small jumps upon landing. If they do that, then that would be a mark off. And you also need to have a clean jump through each of the hoops. So if they touch the hoops for any reason, that would also be a mark off. So what we're looking for here is the child to not touch any of the hoops, the 2-foot jumps in the hoops with no other jumps as well. So again, just so you guys can see that one more time. So he doesn't touch the hoops there, and he has his 2 feet touching with no extra jumps there. So that's the 2-foot jumping. Next would be sliding. So there's a couple of criteria to go through here. So the first one, you want to make sure their body and feet are aligned sideways when sliding in one direction. So it doesn't matter which direction the child faces first. So usually they'll face the appraiser because they'll know that they're getting a ball thrown to them they'll have to catch, but they could be turned the other way if that's more comfortable for them. You'll also want to make sure their leading foot steps sideways, and then their trailing foot is brought to meet that lead foot. No crossovers. It's an actual slide across. Um, and because it's a slide, their shoulders, hips, and feet are aligned, facing the 90 degrees to the travel direction. So just to give you guys an idea of what that would look like. So again, I know that's really quick. So with this one, he's actually, try to slow it down for you. So you can see it's not quite parallel, like his lead foot is a little bit forward. So you could get a mark off from that. But he's not doing any crossovers, and his shoulders are aligned, so his hips are kind of misaligned there as well as his feet. So um, depending, like that's a tricky one to catch, but I would say that would be a mark off there. And that one we didn't see the other direction, but you would just look for the same thing with that. So if we go to the next slide, that's actually the next criteria. So we look at the child sliding in one direction, and then we look at the child sliding in the opposite direction in isolation. So with here the body and feet are aligned sideways when sliding in the opposite direction. The child travels back to the first cone when facing the same direction. So we don't want them to, again, switch directions, so facing the other way. We want them always facing the same direction. And then it would be the same criteria for number one, so looking for the body positioning to be correct and the feet positioned correctly as well. The last thing with sliding, we also want to make sure that they're touching the cone with a low center of gravity and athletic position. So want to make sure that their knees are bent, feet apart, and the whole body touches to lower, not just the hands. So if we look through this child, he's coming down in an athletic stance. Sometimes what you'll see is a child actually bending over in a straight position. So that's just they're lowering their hand, but we want them to lower their whole body to bring their center of gravity down to show that they're able to perform that skill correctly. Yeah, that's it. You'll be looking for that on both cones, but with only one criteria to mark. All right, and after sliding, we have catching. So they'll slide through those two cones, and then they're going to catch a ball thrown by the second appraiser. So with this one, we want to make sure that they're actually catching the ball, so they're not dropping the ball or trapping it. So if they, basically we're looking for them to catch the ball cleanly with either one or two hands, and then not use their body to prevent the ball from falling to the floor. So in other words, trapping. And then really important to note, if the ball is dropped, the point is lost, but if the throw from the appraiser was inaccurate, you would actually start the obstacle course again. That way the child would actually have a better opportunity to catch the ball because the throw was inaccurate. So make sure whoever you have in this position can throw the ball accurately. That way that you won't have to redo it over again. So once the child has caught the ball, they're again going to run up to the line. Oh, actually, I have a video to show you the catching. I'll show you that catching first. I'm getting ahead of myself. So just to give you guys a sense of what that would look like, catch the ball there, so using both hands and not trapping. So just really quick. And then once he's caught the ball, he's then going to move to the throwing line, and he's going to use an overhand throw to hit the target. So we're looking for the ball to hit the target here. We're looking for the arm to come from behind and the hand to go over the shoulder. And then using a sidearm throw, you can still obtain the point as well. Some kids might try to do that. So this is what it would look like. There we go. So really important to note, if they do miss the target, it actually is a point off. So even if they have good body position, we would still mark that off if they miss the target. So with this one, there's also a criteria for making sure that they transfer weight and rotate their body properly. So we're looking for their arms and shoulders to follow the path of the ball once it has been released. Body rotates at the hip and shoulders. Legs are slightly apart and weight is transferred from the hind leg to the leading leg to assist the throw. And then the whole body remains under control and well balanced. So again, just looking for that now. There's a good transfer of weight. You can see his hind leg comes up to show that the weight is being transferred. So yeah, that would be the criteria for throwing. Next, we are going to get the child to go through around the cone here, and then we're going to do the skipping pattern. So with this, we're going to look at a number of things. So number one, we're going to look for correct hop step pattern. So the lead leg is alternating. So this is what it would look like. So moving the lead leg forward and alternating between that. Go. The next one, so we're also looking for them to use their arms appropriately, so alternating their arms and legs and their arm swings for balance. This might be missing in some children just because they're so competent at these skills that they don't necessarily make it obvious that they're using their arms, but they're still kind of, they have that body position, and you know that their weight is being transferred that way. So it might be a little bit trickier to see, but you'll kind of know once you see it. So we'll just look for the arms and legs. You can see the opposite arm and leg going up. There we go. So once the skipping is completed, we're going to move on to 1 foot hopping. So this is where they're going to, we're looking for them to land on 1 foot in each hoop. So again, the same foot in each hoop. So some children might go through and do the opposite feet, but we want them to use the same foot there. So this is what it would look like. Here we go. And just in the essence of time, I'll just move through a little bit quicker. So hops, then we're looking for them to hop once in each hoop. So it's the same thing with the 2 foot jump, not touching any of the hoops and no extra little hops to maintain balance between hoops. So again, this is what it would look like. So there's just 1 hop happening and he's not touching any of the hoops when he goes through. Okay, and then last but not least, we have the kicking. So smooth approach to kick the ball and hit the target. So the ball is kicked between the cones, or the balls hit one of the cones. Continuous running pattern, well judged, and timing of kick, and then a rapid, smooth approach does not have to be interrupted in order to make contact with the ball. So this is what it would look like. So again, we're looking for the rapid and smooth approach here. Some kids might stop and kick the ball that way, but we want them to continuously run there and not interrupt their run. In addition to that, we're also looking for an elongated stride. So that last strike before impact. So their non-kicking foot is deliberately planted to aid the accuracy of the kick. The stride length of the final step before the foot is planted is longer than the previous steps during the approach. So we'll watch that again. So it's very quick, but you can see the foot, oh, I didn't even catch it there. The foot is planted and the elongated stride. So this one isn't as obvious as one, but you would notice it when you see it. Okay, so I know that was very quick, but again, you can see those all online, and that was just a quick overview for you. So now I just want to go through the common errors. So an average 8 to 12-year-old, commonly they'll touch the hula hoops, so either on the 2-footed jumps or the 1-footed hops. They'll run to the cones instead of sliding, especially coming out of those hula hoops first. They'll actually, because they want to go quickly, they'll run to that first cone and then start the sliding motion. They also might miss the target on the throw, have improper skipping technique, that's a very common one, and then missing the target on the kick. So again, just some common errors that you might see. And the more you practice this, the more you'll kind of notice what kids are able to do and which things they might miss. All right, so I'm just going to go through how to interpret the CAMHSA score, and then I'll do a little bit of a summary, and then we'll take any questions that you have. So how to calculate the CAMHSA score. So this is going to be available in our manual. So we'll take the time score. So this is, again, going to range from 1 to 14, depending on the score or the time, and that would be found in our manual as well. You'll take the skill score, 0 to 14, and that'll give you your overall score out of 28, and then you'll take the best score from trial 1 and 2, and times it by 1.5. Now, luckily for you, you don't need to do any of those calculations if you use our website, because it's all available online for you to do. I just wanted to go through it just to give you an idea how we get that score. And then how to interpret the score. So if you remember from last time, we do and interpret the scores either their beginning, progressing, achieving, excelling on their CAMSA journey. So this is based on data collected by the Halo research team, and again, it is based on, or it's all found in our manual rather. So just wanted to give you an idea of what those scores would look like. Now, sorry I'm going through this a little bit quickly, but we're running out of time, so I just wanted to kind of go through so we can get to any questions. So just a quick CAMSA summary. It's a valid and reliable motor skill assessment. It's for children 8 to 12 years of age. You'll need 2 appraisers to go through and score CAMSA. And then really important, practice is really needed to feel comfortable with scoring CAMSA. I know I went through this very quickly, and I apologize if it did seem a little confusing. I promise once you get out there and you actually go through CAMSA, it makes a lot more sense, especially if you can do it yourself. So even if you wanted to set something up with your staff, it'll actually make a lot more sense. And then you'll just need to see a lot more practice trials just to feel comfortable with the scoring. So I wouldn't recommend just setting up a scoring or an assessment date, let's say tomorrow, and doing it. You'll need a little additional practice. Again, I recommend setting it up with staff and having a few practice rounds. And we also have videos available on our website in case you want to practice that way as well. And it's really fun for participants. This is our bread and butter. Participants love this. The kids get a big hoot out of it. I mean, how often do you get to go through something like this these days with gym classes and other recreation programs or things like that? So it's really fun for them. They really enjoy it, and yeah, they love. I promise you, this is like the most fun you'll have throughout the CAPL protocols. So it's the best one. It's my favorite by far. And best of all, it's completely free. So anything that I've mentioned today, you can get available online on our website for free. You can download the manual, the training videos, and you won't have to pay a thing. And you can also know how to, or you can also use our website to upload data. And that'll actually be our next webinar next time, about 2 weeks from now on the 18th. So stay tuned for that. But I just want to quickly thank the Ontario Trillium Foundation for funding this webinar, and also Participaction for hosting the webinar and helping us out that way. And if you have any questions, I can leave my contact information there. Again, you can give me a call or you can email me at any point, and I'd be happy to go through either CAMSA with you or any of the CAPL protocols. So that is it for my my presentation. So if you guys have any questions, I don't see any in the queue, but if you have any questions, feel free to type them out and I'd be happy to take any of them.
Awesome. Thanks, Stacy, for taking us through all that. Again, like Stacy said, I always call you Casey. I'm so sorry.
I know. That's okay.
Again, like Stacy said, if you have any questions, feel free to type them in. I don't see any either, so I would assume that there are none. Her email and contact information is up on the slide there, so if you wanted to jot that down and follow up with Stacy after, feel free. Again, like she said, these will be available online as well, so you can share them or rewatch them if you wanted to. And our next webinar, I believe, is 2 weeks from now, right, Casey? Stacy?
Yes, it is,
See?
Brett.
I can't help,
I should
can't
call
help
you
myself.
Brent, just for fun.
I know. Terrible.
Yeah, our next webinar is on Wednesday, November 18th from 1 to 2 p.m. and it will be information for you on how to input data on our website and how to use the reporting system and what that information means to you.
And that portion is really important and cool because correct me if I'm wrong, but you can do some analyses on the data that you've inputted in a few different ways, right?
Exactly. And yeah, I'll go through what information you'll get from us and then anything else that you want to do afterwards with the data. It'll be a really good session, especially if you want to use CAPL for funding or just to give parents more information and stuff. So it's a must not miss session, I would say.
Awesome. So thanks again, Stacy. We'll log off now, and I hope that everyone enjoys the rest of their day.
Yeah, thanks so much, everyone. Appreciate it.
Bye-bye.
Bye.